If you own a home in Alamo Heights and you're even considering selling, whether it's this year, next year, or sometime in the future, there are a few things you absolutely need to understand before you make a single move. Because historic homes in Alamo Heights operate in a completely different psychological and financial category than most properties in San Antonio. And the sellers who protect the most equity are the ones who prepare early and not the ones who react late. Well, we have seen beautiful historic homes sit on the market longer than they should. We've seen sellers over improve and not get their money back. We've seen sellers under prepare and negotiate away tens of thousands during an option period. And none of those sellers were careless. Most of them were thoughtful. Most of them loved their homes, but loving your home and positioning it strategically are two very different things. So, when you live in a 1920s, 1930s, or 1940s home in Alamo Heights, you're living inside architecture that was built during the city's early residential expansion. You're living with craftsmanship that simply isn't replicated in the same way today. You're living with proportion and details, a material integrity, and it's because you live in it every day, the quirks feel normal. The slight slope in the floor, the sound of the older plumbing, the way original windows operate. You still normalize those things. But, unfortunately, buyers don't. So what we have found is that buyers walk in with fresh eyes. They will walk in thinking two things at the same time. This is beautiful, and what will I be inheriting? So because of those two things and how those two thoughts balance is what determines your final sales price. We really like to help educate our sellers. Today, we're going to walk through what sellers of historic homes in Alamo Heights should understand, must understand before listing. We're going to talk about what historic actually means in this area and the architectural identity of Alamo Heights and the builders who shaped it. What buyers are specifically looking for in older homes here is very specific, and what buyers will tolerate and what they don't is also very specific. How you prepare your home on a 90, 60, and 30-day timeline, and how to price strategically. How to avoid the most expensive mistakes we see in the neighborhood, and that is really important. So, everything we discuss today is fact-based and focused on property, architecture, condition, and market dynamics. We are not going to talk about types of buyers. We are not going to describe neighborhoods based on demographics. We are focusing on structure, value, and strategy, because that's how you protect your equity. Now, before we go further, we should introduce ourselves. So I'm Caroline Deckard with Park Properties Group. My business partner is Suzanne Marco. We are a team, and we really like the team approach. Here in San Antonio, we specialize in central neighborhoods, including Alamo Heights, Olmus Park, Terrell Hills, Monte Vista, and surrounding historic areas. We love all of San Antonio, but these are our specialties. We've represented sellers of early Spanish colonial homes, Tudor revival properties, colonial revival residences, early ranch properties, mid-century homes, brand new construction all throughout Alamo Heights. And what we've learned over all the time is historic homes don't sell because they're old. They sell because they are positioned correctly. So let's talk about Alamo Heights specifically. Alamo Heights was incorporated in 1922. That's so amazing. Residential development accelerated in the 1920s and 1930s, and many of the homes still standing today were built during that early period. This means a significant portion of older home stock in Alamo Heights reflects this early 20th century architectural styles, which we absolutely love. Common architectural styles you'll see around here in Alamo Heights are these older homes are the Spanish colonial revival, a Tudor revival, colonial revival, craftsman influenced homes, early traditional homes, and later early ranch and mid century properties. These homes were constructed using materials and building methods that differ significantly from modern construction. So, um, sometimes buyers love that, and other times it causes a conversation. Let's talk about architects and builders who influenced early residential development in San Antonio and those whose work appears in and around Alamo Heights. One of the recognized architects of the earliest 20th century in San Antonio was Atlee B. Ayers. If you're around here, everybody loves Atlee B. Ayers. His homes are amazing. Ayers was known for his Spanish colonial revival, Mediterranean-style architecture, and his influence shaped residential and institutional architecture really throughout the city. Homes attributed to Ayers or designed in the style popularized during his era often feature stucco interiors, tile roofs, arched openings, and detailed entryways. Another important figure in San Antonio residential architecture was Harvey Page. Page designed residents in central neighborhoods and really contributed to the development of the early 20th century home styles that emphasized craftsmanship and proportion. While not every historic home in Alamo Heights has a documented architect of record, many reflect the architectural influences of the era. And this matters a lot for sellers. If your home was designed by a documented architect, that can become part of the marketing narrative, but only when it's verified. Under TREC, which is Texas Real Estate Commission requirements, we do not attribute design to an architect without documentation. If your home reflects the style of a particular era, we can describe the architectural style accurately without making unsupported claims. That's an important distinction. Styles can be described. Authorship must be documented. So if you have those documents, hold on to them. When we come to your house, show them to us because we'll need to see them. Now, beyond individual architects, early Alamo Heights development also involved local builders constructing multiple homes on specific streets, creating an architectural cohesion. Lot sizes were often larger than modern subdivisions. Street layouts were established before heavy commercial expansion, and that early planning attributes to the current property value. But architectural charm alone does not determine the market performance. Makes sense? You know what does? It's the condition. And that is where many sellers get caught off guard. So condition is very important. Sellers often assume architectural value automatically equals top of market pricing, but buyers in Alamo Heights they evaluate homes through both an emotional lens and a structural lens. Let's talk about what buyers are specifically looking for in older Alamo Heights homes. So what we see, buyers are typically seeking authentic architectural character, preserved original elements like hardwood floorings, built-ins, fireplaces are big, even though we're in South Texas, arched transitions, and mature landscaping. But they're also evaluating the electrical capacity, the plumbing condition, the HVAC performance, the roof age, the foundation history, asterisk, that's a big one, and water drainage. They want charm, but they also want confidence, and they will accept original details. They will not accept uncertainty. So we attribute it to all of the HGTV shows, but people want something that they can actually visualize easily. Here's where sellers need to listen closely. Buyers purchasing older homes in Alamo Heights generally understand that a 1935 home will not perform like a 2020 build. They do not expect perfection, but they do expect transparency and care. Transparency reduces negotiation friction. So prices increase that friction. And that brings us to preparation, because preparing a historic home to sell in Alamo Heights is not about turning it into something it isn't. It's about aligning the presentation, the condition, and the price with buyer expectations. So before we move on to the 90, 60, 30-day timeline, let's talk about the most expensive misconception that we see. Sellers often price based on what the home could be worth if it was fully updated, not what it is worth today in its current conditions. Buyers calculate the cost and the inconvenience. If they see a $75,000 price tag on updates ahead of them, they factor that in, whether consciously or subconsciously. And if the price doesn't reflect that reality, the home sits. Not because it isn't desirable, but because the equation doesn't balance. So now we're going to shift into the preparation framework. We're going to do this in two ways. First, we are going to give you a structured 90, 60, 30-day checklist. Then we'll walk you through a hypothetical seller scenario to illustrate how it plays out in real life. It's because in the end, it's really how it plays out that's important to our clients, because theory is helpful, but application is what protects your equity. So what we really want to start with is the 90-day framework. What happens? You call us and say, hey, we're thinking about listing our historic home in Alamo Heights in about 3 months. Is that the ideal runway? 90 days gives you options. So we love having options. It gives you room to think. It gives you the ability to make strategic improvements instead of reactive decisions. So what happens at 90 days out? First, clarity. We evaluate the big systems. We look at the roof age, the HVAC age, the electrical panel capacity, the plumbing condition, the foundation history. We're not fixing everything at this stage, but what we are doing is we're identifying what currently exists, because you cannot build strategy on assumptions. You need facts. And at this stage, we may recommend a few things like reviewing the past foundation reports. We may recommend you have another foundation person come in and take a look. We're going to recommend you have the HVAC cleaned and serviced, that you gather all the documentation from any past plumbing updates, and you locate any warranties or repair invoices you have. The second thing we evaluate in 90 days is presentation. We're not staging it yet, just really a visual audit. We walk through your home like a buyer would. Is it dark? Is it heavy? Are there deferred maintenance visuals? You might not see it, but us, because we are out with buyers so often, we will tell you what a buyer is going to be looking for. Deferred maintenance visuals are subtle, but unfortunately very powerful. Peeling paint? No. Caulk lines that are old? No. Stained grout? No. Loose hardware? Bad. Outdated light bulbs? Let those go. These things do not necessarily mean the home is in poor condition, but visually they actually signal neglect. And buyers equate visual neglect with hidden issues. So at 90 days, we make a list. It's not an emotional list, but it is a strategic one. Now let's talk about the budget at this stage. Many sellers assume they need to invest heavily, and sometimes they do, but oftentimes they don't. At 90 days, the question is not, how do we renovate? The question is, where will we get the strongest return? So if you have limited budget, priority order typically looks like this in a historic Alamo Heights home. Number 1, systems clarity and necessary repairs. Number 2, exterior presentation and curb appeal. We're all about the curb appeal. Number 3, interior lighting and paint refresh. Number 4, kitchen and bath cosmetic updates. And number 5, landscape polish. Really notice what's not on the list. We're not suggesting you do a full remodel. We're not suggesting you change the layout or do major structural alterations, because those rarely return the full cost immediately before listing. So now let's move to 60 days out. At 60 days out, you move from planning to execution. This is where we implement selected improvements and we kind of give you a list of what we think for your house, what you should do. If you determine the roof needs some repair, that work happens now. If the HVAC servicing was needed, it's done. If minor plumbing repairs were identified, they're all addressed. At 60 days, we also focus heavily on paint. Paint is one of the highest ROI, which is return on investment improvements in older homes. And in Alamo Heights, tone matters. Historic homes benefit from colors that complement the architecture, not a trend. Alamo Heights is not as much driven with trend extremes. And also, we really believe neutral does not necessarily mean sterile. It means cohesive. If original woodwork is present, the paint should enhance it, not compete with it. Lighting is also critical at 90 days. Older homes often have fewer light sources, which is part of their charm, but replacing outdated fixtures with simple architectural appropriate lighting can actually dramatically change the perception. So we're not turning the house modern. We don't want to do that. If it's an old historic home, we're making it brighter and more legible. At 60 days, we also begin editing contents, decluttering, removing excess furniture, identifying pieces that need to be stored. We're really good about giving you the facts, giving you our suggestions, and then it's up to you if you want to do it, because we suggest it because spaciousness is perceived as value. Even if the square footage doesn't change, it's valuable. Now let's move to 30 days before listing. This is where strategy becomes precise. At 30 days, we like to finalize a few things. The photography plan, the video plan, we love video, staging and adjustments, final touch-ups and repairs, and a deep cleaning. So this is not the time for new projects. It's the time for refinement and touch-up paint, landscaping, like getting it trimmed. We have people that we suggest. We will give you their names. And one of the things we love is power washing and window cleaning. That makes a huge difference. Now let's walk through a hypothetical scenario. Imagine you call us in January. You want to list in late April, and that gives us 90 days. So in January, we evaluate systems and documentation. We have identified that your HVAC is 8 years old, which is great. The roof is 5 years old. That's great. The plumbing has partial cast iron and remains in one section. We note that. Foundation had minor work 10 years ago, and you have the documentation available. Good job. We decide no major system replacement is needed, but we go ahead and make sure that you've scheduled HVAC servicing and you gather all that documentation. In February, 60 days out, we repaint 2 rooms that feel dark. We replace the outdated dining room light fixture with something beautiful and bright. We refinish the original hardwood floors. We've got someone that can come in and do a refresh without a full refinish. And we do a bunch of really nice landscaping. Green and clean is what we like to say. In March, 30 days out, we remove excess furniture, deep clean, polish fixtures, and prepare for photography. Notice what we did not do. We did not cut the kitchen. We did not remove the original built-ins. Our buyer clients love that. And we did not alter the floor plan. We aligned the presentation with buyer expectations. Now, let's talk about what not to fix, because this really is just as important. We don't want you to spend money that you don't need to spend. Do not attempt a full remodel right before listing unless absolutely necessary. We see clients spend too much of things that are not important. Do not remove historic architectural details to modernize. Please don't do that. Do not overspend on luxury finishes hoping to exceed the market ceiling. Call us and we will give you our opinion. You can take it or not, but if you can get our opinion, we will actually help you save money. Buyers in Alamo Heights appreciate authenticity. Removing historic charm can actually reduce the appeal. Now let's talk about something we love, which is curb appeal. In older homes, exterior condition signals interior care. Exterior fresh paint if needed. A front door refinished or repainted. That's so easy and so big. Clean walkways and maintain landscaping. We love mulch, lots of mulch. Landscaping does not need to be elaborate. It just needs to be tidy with clean lines, trimmed hedges, and defined beds. We have people that we absolutely love that we recommend to our sellers. We give our guys their plan, and then they will work all the magic. If at 90 days you identify potential concerns, now you've had time to address them. If you wait until option period, you are now negotiating under pressure. Preparation preserves leverage. Surprise erodes leverage. By the time we reach launch day, the home feels bright and maintained. And it is architecturally intact. All the systems are transparent, and really, that's the goal, because buyers are making a decision that combines emotion and calculation. You want both sides of the equation to work in your favor. You want them to emotionally fall in love with it and feel confident moving forward. In the next section, I'm going to talk about ways we can go deeper into buyer psychology specific to Alamo Heights, price points. We'll talk about what buyers in different price ranges expect and how that influences preparation decisions, because not every historic home competes in the same bracket, and expectation shifts accordingly. So we want you to understand what buyers are saying, and we want buyers to be excited when they walk in the door. Let's talk about the buyer psychology in Alamo Heights, because not every historic home competes at the same price level, and expectations change significantly depending on where your home falls in the price range. In general, and this is market-based, not demographic-based, buyers evaluate homes in tiers. So let me simplify it for you. Homes under approximately $1 million in Alamo Heights operate differently than homes between $1 and $1.5 million. And homes above that range operate differently again. So in the lower historic price tiers, buyers are often willing to accept more cosmetic updates that still need to be done, but the price needs to reflect it. They expect character, they expect some quirks, but they still expect functioning systems. And really, as the price increases, tolerances for uncertainty decrease. At higher price tiers, buyers expect updated electrical capacity, clear plumbing condition, a roof with documented life remaining, refreshed interiors, a modern feeling primary bathroom, big one now, and a good kitchen. Kitchen's the heart of the home, and they want a good functional kitchen. They are not expecting new construction, but they are expecting cohesion. And that's where sellers must align expectations with the price. Now, let's talk about how buyers mentally discount. We see this every time that we're out with buyers. When buyers walk into a historic home and they see visual deferred maintenance, they don't simply subtract the repair costs. They subtract the repair cost, the inconvenience factor, the uncertainty buffer, all of that comes into play. So if a buyer estimates in their mind $50,000 in updates, they may mentally discount it $70,000 or more to account for the risk. That's why preparation really is so powerful. You reduce the uncertainty buffer. We love a pre-inspection. So let's talk a little bit about that. This is where sellers often feel the most emotional pressure. Historic homes almost always generate inspection notes. I mean, we've seen some long inspections in these historical homes. Common categories in older Alamo Heights home include foundation movement indicators, that's everywhere. Aging cast iron plumbing, that's pretty common. Electrical components reflective of earlier standards. So it might be safe, but it's out of code. Drainage conditions, basically every house that shows up on an inspection report. Also window performance, if the windows don't open. So the key question is which items materially impact safety, structure, and pricing. So a buyer wants to know, because of cosmetic requests should not be the same as structural concerns, we categorize inspection items into safety, structural, major systems, and then functionality, and last is cosmetics. Um, Buyer is typically always going to ask for the system's money for any system updates, and we have to negotiate accordingly. If the home was priced appropriately for the condition, that becomes part of the negotiating conversation. We let them know we gave it all on the front end. That is why pricing and preparation are really intertwined. If you overprice and under repair, the option period can become very painful. If you price strategically and you prepare intentionally, option period then becomes manageable. Let's get a little deeper into pricing, because pricing is always something homeowners ask us about, of course. Pricing historic homes in Alamo Heights requires nuance. You cannot rely on simple price per square foot averages. I mean, that it's a good place to start, but square footage does not account for the architectural style, the street, the location, desirability. That's huge. Lot size, big one. Renovation level, another big one. Preserved original features, another big one. And system updates. We analyze comparable sales data that match the era, the style, the condition, and really the location within Alamo Heights. Makes a big difference. Broadway-facing properties behave differently than interior residential streets. Lot dimensions matter. Corner lots behave differently than mid-block lots. Since we see it all, we call it a spidey sense, and we understand what buyers are looking for. Buyer competition shifts seasonally, and timing does matter. If you have a minute, let's talk about the most expensive mistake we see, which is pricing based on emotional value. When sellers anchor to personal investment rather than market evidence. Your memories have value to you, and we love that. But the market does not price memories. It prices condition, architecture, and location. Another six-figure mistake, this is a hard one, over-renovating without understanding the ceiling of the market. Sometimes we see renovations that really you're not going to get your money back out. And if the recent comps in your sale area close to a certain level, exceeding that dramatically without broader market support, it starts to introduce risk. Our job is to give you the numbers, and then we work for you. You want to know the third major mistake? Ignoring small presentation details. We'll point it out to you. We'll give you a list, but we really hope that you follow it, because buyers may not articulate it, but smell matters. Lighting matters. Paint tone matters. And cleanliness matters. So historic homes must feel cared for, even if they are not fully modernized. So if you've got a dog or a cat, let's get the smells out. The fourth mistake, waiting too long to prepare. If you call 2 weeks before your listing, your options start to shrink. If you call 6 months before your listing, your leverage expands. Now, let's return to strategy. If you're watching this and you own a historic Alamo Heights home, here is your checklist. We love a checklist. We'll send you checklists. Clarify your systems, easy. Gather documentation, maybe easy, maybe not, but it's important. Evaluate the presentation of your home honestly. Let us create a 90, 60, and 30-day prep plan, and let us help you based on condition and market data. Market the architecture accurately and factually. Highlight documented features and avoid unsupported claims. We don't need that. We want to align buyer expectations with the correct pricing tier, because historic homes do not sell because they're old. They sell because they are positioned well. We are experts at this, and we would really love to help you get on the right path. If you're considering selling in Alamo Heights, whether it's now or within the next year, the best thing you can do is start this conversation early. We offer confidential seller strategy consultations where we evaluate things like your home's architecture, the condition. We check out any documentation that you have. We talk about market positioning. We help you with a preparation plan. And then lastly, we talk pricing strategy. There's no pressure. There's no obligation. We just help give you clarity, because clarity protects your equity and preparation preserves your leverage. I'm Caroline Deckard with Park Properties Group at the Phyllis Browning Company. We love helping sellers in Alamo Heights get their homes ready and get the best price in the quickest amount of time. And this is really our backyard, and we specialize in historic homes. Thanks for watching.